Clueless, first requested to me by Kev'z Sab'z and written and directed by Amy Heckerling, is a 1995 coming-of-age film that follows Cher, a 16-year-old girl living in Beverly Hills. Cher is navigating her way through high school and is very concerned about her image, popularity, and social status. She and her friends live a luxurious lifestyle but are still occasionally weighed down by high school romance, insecurities, and academic issues. As Cher attempts to find her identity, she must first determine where her priorities lie. Alright, so Clueless is a film I've generally heard good things about. I really didn't know much about it going into my viewing experience aside from knowing that it's a coming-of-age film. After watching the trailer, I gotta say I'm glad I didn't watch the trailer prior to watching the movie because there are some things that are definitely given away in it. I wouldn't say Clueless is full of surprises by any means, but there are things here and there that will keep you on your toes. But all in all, I think Clueless is a very okay film. I don't think it's one of my favorite coming-of-age films, but I don't think it's a complete dumpster fire either. The director Amy Heckerling directed Fast Times at Ridgemont High as well, and I do prefer that to Clueless, but I do think Clueless overall is a solid coming-of-age story. What I liked about it is that it does for the most part capture that high school mindset. Cher very much embodies what it means to be 16. She's self-centered, she's overly concerned about her image, and she's very superficial, as are most of her peers as well, because there's way more value in social currency at this point in their lives than anything else going on. So the film spends a lot of time focusing on these aspects of Cher, really honing in on the fact that her perspective is skewed by her status and social obsessions. She's more concerned about who she's friends with and what she's wearing than the types of relationships she's building and how thoughtful she's spending her time. This is why I say the film does a really good job embodying the 16-year-old mindset. And it does that through all of the characters, honestly, not just Cher. One of the issues I have with the film, though, is that Cher's development as the protagonist is super minimal. I think that by the end of the film, she grows a little bit, she learns a few things. She's not exactly the same, but I don't feel like she's all that different either. I think what I wanted to see was a little more introspection, a little more growth that propels Cher into the next stage of her teenage years, a stage with a little more maturity. To me, she felt a little more polished, a little more friendly by the end of the film, but still a very similar person to who she was at the start of the film. This is a bit of a problem because as the protagonist, the film really centers on her perspective almost all of the time. So there are very few scenes where we're not focused on Cher and how she's interacting with her friends and her environment. And with that much focus on one character and one perspective, there needs to be serious change undergone, specifically in a coming-of-age film. I also don't really feel like she struggles all that much. I didn't quite feel like I could connect with her character the way I wanted to because she doesn't undergo significant hardship or relatable hardship until very late into the film, if at all. I think typically in order to emotionally connect with a character, you need to go on a journey with them, experience their hardship and their growth, and that doesn't really happen here. As far as the acting goes, I was impressed with Alicia Silverstone's performance and with Brittany Murphy's, who plays one of her friends. Paul Rudd is actually in this film too, and he's good also, but no one else is really that great, unfortunately. This movie feels very, very 90s in some good ways and some bad ways. The performances feel silly and, over the top at various points, and the general sense of humor is very, very cheesy 90s. And there is charm there. There's some charm in what the film elects to do. I would never deny that. There are some also very uncomfortable moments where the film thinks it's being really funny, and it doesn't quite feel like it lands those punches that way in 2020. There's a scene where one of the characters is driving on a freeway through traffic where this exact thing I'm referencing happens, and it just feels really out of place and uncomfortable. Not sure how else to describe it, honestly. So again, I'm coming back to Cher real quick with you guys because this movie heavily revolves around her character. Cher has no clear goal. This is another area I pinpointed when I thought about why her character in the film only mildly resonated with me. There's no clear objective for Cher aside from staying popular and eventually finding a boyfriend. A lot of her story feels directionless, like she's not sort of really headed down any one path, but rather simply navigating the treacherous social waters that is high school. And maybe that's the point. She's not really thoughtful and she's not deliberate about her personal growth, but as a viewer, I just find it really hard to truly connect with a character that has no real motivations beside retaining her popularity. On a more positive note, another aspect that ties back to creating a realistic, authentic feeling high school environment is the conversations between the high school kids. This, for the most part, feels very realistic. They fit the 90s time period, they feel like they're very consistent with how high school kids interact, and they give us insight into who they are and their value in the social high school hierarchy. Even when the conversations take place outside of the school, between Cher and Paul Rudd's character Josh, for example, they're charming. I think I would describe this film as charming. That's what it's going for. That's what it appears to be, and I think it does that really well. So I don't think this is intended to be like a super serious coming-of-age story, and because of that, it's meant to be lighthearted. It succeeds. It's just that sometimes it could have benefited from a little more depth. The Edge of 17, for example, combines all of those ingredients into a coming-of-age story, but makes for a perfect blend. But overall, Clueless is solid. It's not among my favorite coming-of-age films, but it's not a waste of time either. As for the pros cons, for the pros, I think Clueless delivers an authentic high school atmosphere, charm, and a few good laughs, and some good performances. As for the cons, I think the protagonist's development is lacking, the film can occasionally get too cheesy for its own good, and the drama is also occasionally lacking due to weak character motivations. Overall, I'm going to give Clueless a 7 out of 10 and generally say it's worth a watch. I think if you're looking for a fun 90s film, this one is an okay option. So have you guys seen Clueless? What did you think of it? And if not, let me know why not. I do also want to say I'm so sorry I haven't posted much lately. Life has been totally crazy with work, school, and everything else going on. I do promise I'll be releasing new videos shortly, both movie reviews and collectible reviews, and I appreciate every single one of you who continue to support the channel as you do. Be on the lookout for more reviews shortly, and I hope you enjoyed the new intro and the new outro coming up. So, hope you like it. This is WillFoxification signing off. I'll see you in the next review.